Going once. Going twice. Live. Alrighty, so we are in that moment of the live stream where there is no one watching. So that means time to be an idiot. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Don't want to do that. This is where I'm just going to blab to myself until someone shows up and says, "Hey, Paul, I got a cool question for you." Okay, cool. Well, we got this as a potential video option because unboxing videos, they were fun at first, but after I opened up amiibo after amiibo after amiibo, kind of started getting tiring a bit. But a live unboxing, you don't get that too much, do you? So let me see if I can find a stand somewhere to keep that in visibility. We'll use the United States Catechism as a stand. That's still not that great. Majora's Mask puzzle. That'll... Still don't really like it. Maybe this. There we go. Alright. Kind of awkward to look at the webcam from over the box, but good enough. So, a couple of updates for the one person watching. Congratulations. You are officially awesome. Assuming that's not actually my channel and it just thinks that it's someone else, because that would be weird. Anyway, updates. So, I just beat Celeste and Link's Awakening recently. I just put out reviews for that. I also have been doing a couple of info dumping episodes because, a lot of people like those. I'm currently replaying Minish Cap on Virtual Console because I've been wanting to review that game for eons, but my memory is kind of iffy, so I'm trying to sort of refresh it. And boy, am I glad I did, because there's a lot I probably would have glossed over. I'm also hoping to get some interviews set up. I've got a couple of friends in mind that I'm thinking of inviting over, and then we can do a video together. Also in the works is getting a new camera so I can do some more vlogs, because I'm going to 3 big events in the next 2 months, and I'd like to show them off as much as possible. And I am also trying to figure out the best format for doing my top 5 Once Upon a Time episodes list, because I tried doing the musical episode imitation as I'm not only going to show you what my number 1 is, I'm going to act out the whole thing. But people probably want to know, Paul, what are your other 4? And I have the pictures. I'm just trying to figure out what will be the optimal format to do it in, because I don't want to get a copyright strike or anything like that. So far, my channel's actually been doing good as far as copyright stuff. They've said oh yeah, you used someone else's music, so your videos can't be monetized. It's I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. As long as, what's the word? As long as people aren't seeing a whole bunch of ads on my videos, that's cool. And the reason I don't want people seeing ads on my videos is that's super annoying and super inconvenient. I don't want you guys to have to go through the agony of not being able to watch my stuff right away. That's, I don't know, not my thing. So, why did I get a Squirtle amiibo? Well, I guess the real reason, I don't normally plan for the future. Ah, hey, welcome. Cheese on the pie. That's a neat last name. That's really cool. So, have you seen any of my videos before, or did you just see, yo, a guy named Catholic Nintendo Nerd is live, and I want to see what he's up to? Ah, nice. Well, thanks for sticking around. Oops, I thought maybe the boxes would help prop up the amiibo, but I think they're blocking the microphone. I'm sorry. The ladder. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, either one is cool. I'm glad you could stop by. If I could personally... Rat wears hats. I just met you tonight. That's cool. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, my streams are super duper casual, nowhere near how most YouTubers do it. To me, I like to see it as if I were to walk into a coffee shop and see my fans just sitting at a table, I'd be like, yo, guys, what's up? And then just get into a nice casual conversation. Of course, casual conversations don't have a Squirtle amiibo, but casual-ish, I guess. The best video game I ever played, that would have to be, I won't just tell you, I'll show you. By far, it would have to be Breath of the Wild. I don't have the Switch version, but I do have a Switch carrying case that's based on Breath of the Wild because I love the game so much. And for those of you, well, actually both of you don't know me that well. The main reason I love, oh yeah, no problem. Prior obligations. I'm all about those. The main reason I love Breath of the Wild so much is because it reminds me of, I'm going to have too many props in a minute here. It reminds me of my favorite book, which is somewhere around here. Here it is. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Breath of the Wild is the closest thing I have to that book's masterpiece. You heading out already, Joseph? Or was that just... Oh, I get it. Yeah. Nah, they'll come back. See, the funny thing about whenever I do a stream is that the number right that should be right here that says like 2 people are watching, it'll like fade out if people have wonky internet connections, which is weird because it's like they're like, no, I've been here all along. It's just that my internet went spazzy. So I usually make jokes about that now, and I'm just like, oh no, did I say something to offend you? I'm so sorry. So what's your favorite video game, Joseph? My second favorite video game. That is the never-ending question. I'm having a hard time deciding, but probably either Fire Emblem Three Houses or Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But both of those games are like in the process of currently being updated. So is that your favorite game, Hollow Knight? I have that in my queue on Gamefly of another game I want to rent because I heard Hollow Knight Silk Song is like everyone's, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. And I was like, yeah, but those indie games are so hit or miss. Like some of them are great and some of them are terrible. Like 90% of the stuff I reviewed on the Wii U, for example, is just garbage. But that one looks pretty cool. Mario Galaxy. Oh my gosh. I love Mario Galaxy. I don't love it as much as most people because I think a lot of people overlook the problematic galaxies a lot. Like, for example, the Golden Leaf Galaxy is basically just the Honey Hive Galaxy but mirrored. And it's like, wow, that took up so much development resources just to mirror a galaxy. Then, yeah, I used to be a huge collector of posters, and that's one of the few that survived the test of time. So, fun fact, I don't think I've ever said this to my YouTube audience. Let me know if you guys can't hear me really well, because the current microphone I have doesn't allow me to hear. I don't need to hear anything anyway, so what's the point? I guess I could plug in my microphone. If I could hear you guys' voices, I would love that, but I currently don't know how to do that. So forgive my technical ineptitude. Okay, so this sheet right here was based on a retreat I went on that they did an icebreaker called Say Nice Things. And they're basically just a whole bunch of great things about me back when I was like a lot younger. And I was just looking over that and I'm like, wow, a lot of those still exist, despite the fact that I went through humongous life changes. And this right here, might help if you actually see it. Oh, that's not going to work. Well, maybe some other day if I ever get rich and famous. That's a map of my novel trilogy that my sister drew. Okay, so Super Mario 3D World. Honestly, I kind of hated that game. Like, it felt like this is your big, gigantic 3D platformer for the Wii U, which is, you know, the first ever 3D HD system Nintendo's ever made, and it's basically just a watered down Super Mario 3D Land. Now, the music was great, the graphics were great, and I loved the Captain Toad levels, but apart from that, I was just so bored and saying, like, why are you holding yourselves back, Nintendo? And I felt like that was, like, the biggest problem with all of really the Wii U's era, where they were great games, but Nintendo's philosophy at that time prevented them from being greater. So, for instance, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, still a really fun game that I wouldn't mind jumping back into, but it didn't have a story mode. And I guess at that point, they weren't seriously thinking about what the fans wanted. They were thinking about, well, we are personally offended that you uploaded all of the cutscenes online. So therefore, because you guys were the idiots, we are not going to give you the cutscenes. Yeah, that probably could have saved the Wii U, you guys. What were you thinking? But at least Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had a story mode. Yeah, the jumping physics were weird in that game, especially because when I played 3D Land, I had the 3D turned on. And so I was able to gauge the jumping distance really easily, which is not something any other Mario game can boast. And then 3D World came along, and it's like, okay, so you're 3D World, but without the 3D. But yet it's nowhere near on the level of, say, Super Mario World, which is by no means one of my favorite Mario platformers, but it's definitely one of the better Super Nintendo games. Because in my opinion, Super Nintendo was always one of Nintendo's weaker systems. It was like, yeah, you did some prettying up with the graphics, but most of your games were like unfairly hard. Like, you need better save systems. You need to be able to save everywhere. That was the kind of stuff I had been wishing for since I was that high. And thanks to the 3DS Virtual Console, we finally got that. So, Rat, that wears hats, tell me more about this Hollow Knight. Maybe I'll push it higher up in my Gamefly queue if I hear some good things about it tonight. Oh yeah, and for the third person that's watching this that hasn't introduced themselves yet, just so you know, this Squirtle thingy is a possibility. It gave me headaches at first. Like when I got my very first 3DS. I actually have it right here. Yeah, this thing has seen a lot of love and a lot of signs of its age. It's been around. You can thank Smash Brothers for it not having a proper circle pad, too. At first, I hated the 3D because I wasn't used to it. And then I got a new 3DS, and I had the super stable 3D, which isn't perfect, but way better than what this model has. Now I can't play Super Mario 3D Land without it. I had a Link's Awakening in the past tense. It was terrible. I wanted to do a live stream a couple of days ago where I did like completely live thoughts on everything that I hated about that game, but for some odd reason, the internet was being weird, and then no one was commenting on anything I had to say. I was expecting someone to say, "No, hold it, Paul. I actually really liked that." And I thrive on things like that. I like it when people say, "Paul, you're wrong. Here's a different opinion." So if you want me to rant and rave about how much I hated that game, I'll do it. Just so you know, though, my favorite 2D Zelda is A Link Between Worlds. So if a game on the Switch is inferior to a game on the 3DS, that's when I'm going to be like, there's problems here. Nintendo, step up your game. I know you can do it. Oh, no. Metroidvania? Oh, brother. Maybe for the fans, but that's not really my style. Weakest Smash Brothers character in terms of movesets or in terms of their gaming universe? Because in the gaming universe, I actually watched a video about that, and I believe Isabelle was determined to be the weakest. Now, as far as... Oh, man, I probably should have gotten a drink before I did this. I'll get one in a minute. As far as who I personally think is the weakest Smash Brothers character, I would probably have to go with Olimar. It seems like he hardly ever has heavy-hitting moves. Like, even Jigglypuff, if you land her rest properly, as stupid as that move is, it does insanely good damage, and to this day is the only way that my brother knows how to beat Giga Bowser in Super Smash Bros. Melee, is by spamming rest. But otherwise, I've always been like, why does Jigglypuff keep appearing? She's such a terrible character. Well, I mean, exploration is always cool. So I guess if it's like, maybe the reason why I don't like Metroidvania is because Metroid takes place in a lot of corridors, whereas Breath of the Wild is like this wide open field. So maybe if it's like more outdoorsy, I'd probably like it. So if you guys will excuse me for a minute, I'm going to get a drink. In the meantime, type out your questions and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Okay. I'll be back. Let's see. Well, so definitely okay, cool. Carnivorous. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. Because I tried playing Samus Returns on the 3DS, and I thought the game was pretty good. It just required way too much backtracking. Not as much as most Metroid games, so I've heard, but like, if I would miss a jump, then I'd have to go all the way over here just to do something to get me to this room. And it's like, ugh, whatever happened to shortcuts? Now, because you guys are new, let me explain a couple of the parameters of my channel. I've never actually played Mario Hotel, but there's a mini game in Super Mario Party that kind of reminds me of it. It's the one, I think it's called Special Delivery. I'll have to look that up, what that name is. So a couple of the things that I do on this channel are, I sort of do unboxings, but as I said before you guys showed up, I'm kind of getting sick of doing entire videos that are just about unboxing, because it's like, honestly, do people really even care about those? And after you, like, I own 120 amiibos now, so like, after you've unboxed so many of them, they start really getting old, especially when you have to do it in front of a camera, and you have to position your hands awkwardly. It's just kind of terrible. I've never played the Brave Little Toaster game. I would like to play games that are like Super Mario Brothers more, but usually they turn out to be like really terrible games. Like, I heard Bubsy, they tried to revive him, and that was kind of eh. Can't find a good position to put my iced tea in, so I guess this'll do. Convenient camera angles, gotta love them. Okay, so getting back to general, and feel free to interrupt me anytime you guys want. I can go on tangents. I'm known for going on excessively long tangents. So a couple of the general rules being around this channel is I try to keep it, I try to keep my content at a level where if minors were theoretically viewing my stuff, I would not be in major trouble for it. So even though I might say review an M-rated game, I would put a disclaimer like, this is an M-rated game, use discretion. So like, making sure that my demographic understands that they're a demographic. Oh yeah, thanks for stopping by. If I could recommend which video to start out with, I would recommend my Undertale Catholic review. Actually, I did a second one because I love that game so much, so that's a good place to start. Or if you like my personalities, I do a series called ISTJ Info Dumping, which just me talking about my type, which is so underappreciated. CJ, welcome back. Certainly been a while since I've heard from you. Where have you been? Rat wears hats. Could you be ever so slightly more specific about mad respect for what it is you have mad respect for? I also really like to do voice imitations. So it may seem like I have a high-pitched girly voice, but I can actually go pretty darn low. Like I can imitate Johnny Cash when most other men with naturally deeper voices than me can't do it. I was able to sing Ring of Fire in Guitar Hero and get a pretty decent good score. I also like to... I haven't really done a whole lot of it yet, but I want to start doing it. Vlogs for Catholic conferences and retreats, because those things can be really trendy. You would think, oh, Catholics, they don't know how to have fun. Are you kidding me? They had a mountain climbing simulator at NCYC. That was amazing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I do try to maintain family friendliness. I don't tolerate profanity. My night's going good. Today has been kind of an uneventful day, but that's okay because I like having days like that. I'm not the type of guy that likes every single night to be jam-packed. Maybe that's why I sleep like all day whenever I get back from a mission trip. I did beat the Cave of Flames in Minish Cap, though, and that was pretty fun. I also like to take my subscribers' requests into account, but at the same time, ignore peer pressure. So, for instance, if a subscriber calmly requests something like, hey, Paul, would it be okay if you gave a shout out would it be okay if you gave a review for, what's a game that everyone talks about, but I don't play? I don't know. If they told me to play Axiom Verge or something. I actually started that game a while ago, but then I got bored, so I gave it back to Gamefly. But if anyone ever really, really, really wanted me to try Axiom Verge, I guess I'd try it again. I don't know. I thought it was kind of boring. But if they say stuff like, dude, cut your hair, get a different background because this is ugly, I'm just going to say, yeah, your opinion, not mine. So I guess there's a difference between requests and pressuring. I was homeschooled, and they taught us, don't be giving in to all that nonsense of like, you got to fit in with society and do things their way or you're just going to get walked over in life. I do both, actually. I've been told that I sound so much like Rupert Grint from the Harry Potter movies that it scared people before. I also have been told that I imitate my ex-boss so well that one time he actually did show up to visit again after he retired, and he said like, hey, how's it going? To one of the chefs from behind. And she was like, oh, I'm not falling for that, Paul. And he was like, no, it's actually me this time. It's Gary. And she was like, Gary, oh my gosh, I thought you were Paul because Paul always imitates you. But I also do exaggerated caricatures. Like, I actually just did a video tonight. Didn't get around to uploading it, but I plan on it probably tomorrow or so, where I imitated the 15 other Myers-Briggs types talking about my type. So that was a bit of a humbling experience. No, he's still alive. He's just retired. So as a result, I have him as my text tone on my cell phone. Whenever I get a text, it's my... Where is my cell phone? Oh, well, if someone calls it, I'll find it. Here it is. Whenever someone sends me a text on this that is not like a super awesome friend, they always hear,
"Hey fellas, Bruce said that you might not be able to work in the restaurant because of those crop haircuts."
Maybe I shouldn't finish that sentence because that might be potentially offensive on YouTube. But basically, they always hear his voice, but they don't know that it's mine. Yes, sir. Or ma'am. I actually don't know which one is which, but yep, love it. These things are so stupid durable. Like, I went to the carnival one time, and this thing fell off of 2 of the rides. Why, thank you. I do have one of my biggest weaknesses is the fact that I have 6 miscarried siblings, and I'm constantly looking for people to replace them, which I know is impossible, but yet, what can I say? I'm a sentimental guy. But yeah, this thing has fallen off of 3 carnival rides, and the headphone or the charger jack has just completely fallen out, and yet it still works great. You can get service pretty much anywhere. Texts are pretty much instantaneous that the other person gets them. As far as how well I type, my sister claims that I'm ridiculously slow. And I can call pretty much anyone I want. And I only pay $30 a month. Which maybe one of these days I'll switch it down to $20 a month because my phone can't get data even if it wants to. So kind of pointless in that regard. Yeah, one time I actually went to a conference and they said, everyone hold up your phones. And me and one other girl in the room were waving our flip phones. And I was like, yeah, let's show our love for flip phones, everyone. And of course, no one saw us, but I thought that was a nice, cool bonding moment until she upgraded to a regular phone. And then I was like, guess I'm all alone when I go to the next conference and they ask us to hold up our phones. Oh, that's rough. Ugh. So, do any of you want to see me unbox Squirtle, or do you think that that's just like lame? Like, oh, brother Paul, not another one of your countless amiibos. I think wasn't I in mid-sentence and I was talking about why I have so many amiibos? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could certainly use some sleep one of these days. Well, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Yeah, so as I was saying about amiibos, why do I collect so many? Well, for starters, one of my number 1 rules is try not to collect duplicates unless the duplicates have an individual purpose. Yeah, I mean, my live streams are kind of all over the place because I never know when I get privacy or not, but I do try to post videos at least once or twice or sometimes 3 times a week, so you should never be lacking in stuff to watch, and I have like 500 different videos, so you'll probably be watching my stuff for a year, and I'll be posting more by then. The reason why I buy so many amiibos or ask for them for my birthday and try not to make them duplicates is because I believe in the practical value of them in addition to the sensual value. Like, these are really cool to feel, like especially my Yarn Yoshi amiibo. It's like literally entirely made of yarn, and I've had my friends say stuff like, does that thing actually work? I'm like, yeah, it works. Why else would it be in with my amiibos? It may not look like an amiibo, but you just plop him down on the scanner and it works just fine. Also, because Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World can give you a lot of cute Yoshi skins. And I'm also thinking, if future Switch titles have something like what Mario Maker did on the Wii U, where every amiibo had a pixel figure that you could make run around in a Mario level, I'm just like, okay, one of these days they'll make a pixelated Squirtle that can run around in a Super Mario Brothers game, and I'm just hyped for that day. Also, Fire Emblem Three Houses has one of my favorite usages of amiibo to date. Basically, you scan any amiibo and you get a whole bunch of prizes that drop around the monastery, and it goes for all 3 save files. So one person does it, and then everyone else that's playing on your Switch reaps the benefits. And if you scan a Fire Emblem themed amiibo, every single individual Fire Emblem character gives you a different song that you can play in the background during a grind battle, as I like to call it. So, for example, if you have the Crom amiibo, you're going to get a different song than the Tiki amiibo. Female Corrin is going to get you something different than the male Corrin. So, that reminds me of something I want on my Christmas list. So, basically, it gives you an incentive to keep collecting the different types of amiibo and also to show like what franchises you really love. So for me, I'm not going to be as excited about getting, say, a Pokemon amiibo as I am with a Fire Emblem because I love Fire Emblem. Ugh, this writing device is terrible. Gah. So, question for the night. Who are some of your other favorite YouTubers that maybe I would like to check out? Some of mine are, I really love the Wii Viewer. Like, he's been around since like the dawn of the Wii, and he still reviews the most obscure games ever. He's actually the main inspiration behind my style of reviewing. Also, Miss Nekotendo, she's one of my favorites. I think she just absolutely nails it in taking something that any other YouTuber would make super boring, and she makes it entertaining by how she might edit a clip or her little monologues at the bottom, or even just the little improvisey things she does. Like one time we were doing a collab for Super Mario Party, and I gave her lines, and I said, here's what I want you to say in the collab, but what I didn't expect was that she would hold up her cat and then shake her head in dismay. And that just added so much to the review. Was she was making me out to, because the whole point of the review was making me look like an idiot because I'm a stingy spender. I don't like to spend my money on something unless it's practical and it's going to be useful. So the whole skit was about like, oh, pretend that this is the cat because I don't have a pet. She was like, he sure is stingy with his money, isn't he? And that head shaking and the Squirtle just made the whole video. Not only that, but she always responds to comments. And if she doesn't respond to them, then she hearts them. So it shows that like she treats every single one of her fans as individuals. And I highly respect that in mainstream YouTubing. I also really like Arlo, but everyone knows who Arlo is, so I like to promote the lesser known stuff. Daisy Soar is a pretty cool channel, albeit she usually only posts like once or twice a year nowadays. So good luck getting her to actually put something on her channel, but when she does, it's usually well worth the wait. So I feel like I've been talking into a piece of plastic for like the past hour. So to whoever's still around, what video games have you been playing lately? And also, question for the day. What do you think about Mario Kart Tour? Do you think it's absolute scum? Or do you think Nintendo's a total genius for having you pay to unlock Mario? Even worse, what if they made the game where it started out with bikes and they made you pay to race in carts? Now that would just be, oof. I would just have to put my foot down for that one. Mario Kart Tour. Such a scummy game. Alrighty. Oh, that's cool. Man, that was an unintentional, like, that was an unintentional icon at the bottom right of my screen that I wish I could, like, Ooh, I'm gonna try something. Wait. I can do it like that. Oh, that would be rad. Hello, Patrick. Welcome back. Kind of in a little bit of a lull because I'm not the best at starting conversations. But I was just showing off my unopened Squirtle amiibo, talking about plans for the channel, talking about like the general structure of how I do things, blabbing a little bit, but when do I ever not blab? And trying to promote, hey, John Paul, good to see you again. I've never played Lord of the Rings online. I'm not much of an online gamer to begin with because I feel like most people that play online are like obsessed with it. And so they know how to do all these tricks that's like my brain doesn't even know how to process it. My sister and I'd like to think we're pretty good at Mario Kart. But then we tried playing Mario Kart 8 online, back when online was actually free. We came in 11th and 12th place, respectively, because everyone online was just like, how do you go that fast? Are you a rubber banding person too? I feel like Mario Kart's the kind of game where it relies so much on items that it takes away skill. And so, I don't know, maybe they hit us with a lot of blue shells or something, but I generally don't like online. That's why I think Nintendo Switch Online is a waste of money at this point, because if you're not going to go online, then what's the point? Now, if they gave a free Netflix subscription style service of, say, DS, 3DS, or GameCube games, I would be totally on board. I would love to play Path of Radiance in handheld mode. I've only ever been confined to a TV when playing that masterpiece. Oof. Path of Radiance really needs more love. That thing costs like $156, and it's one of the best games ever made. Not enough people talk about it, and if they do, most of what they say is, this game is so brilliant, why is it so darn expensive? Or they have to emulate it because it's cheaper that way, and even though I don't really like emulation, that's also what got Sonic Mania to be made. So my feelings are basically kind of mixed on emulators, because it's like, dude, just get the original, but on the other hand, if we can get, say, a Mario Mania from it, then yeah, keep emulating that, because Sega does what Nintendo don't, that's for sure. Fun fact, I never actually saw one of those commercials. I heard about them in Game Informer, but I never actually saw one for myself. Probably because I hated commercials when I used to watch TV. Yeah, that's right. A Nintendo nerd that doesn't watch a whole lot of TV. Who would have thought that? Yeah, most of the time when I play my Switch, I prefer to do it in handheld. I mean, the TV is cool. It's just that most of the recent Switch games don't really take advantage of its horsepower that much. They look like watered-down Wii U ports. And I'm not really a huge fan of that. You know, when the Switch first came out, you know, it had Super Mario Odyssey and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, both of which are absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous. And then you've got, you know, just a whole bunch of Wii U ports after that, which it's like, well, those are okay, but since this is a port and not a brand new game, shouldn't you make it like leagues better than the previous? Like going from Mario Kart 7 to Mario Kart 8 was humongous. And then Mario Kart 8 to Mario Kart Deluxe was like, what's the difference? Sure, Mario now shoots purple sparks instead of green. What does that even mean? Like, why? I mean, if the Switch is so much more powerful, it should do, say... I don't really like grinding either. I think if I were to be interested in an online game... Ooh, this is a good unintentional question there. If I were to get into an online game... Well, Tetris 99 was pretty fun when I had this Nintendo Switch Online free trial. So I'd probably like something like Tetris 99. I was terrible at Fortnite, but maybe with the updates I'll give it a try again sometime. I think I would like an online service that was designed for conversation over gaming. So, for example, if, say, you could have a Tomodachi Life massive multiplayer online, but instead of competing, you just had this huge lobby where you could just talk to people, but instead of showing your face, you just show your me. So then you're having a conversation, and the me will like mimic the words coming out of your mouth with its little stubby hands, and it'll do like expressions based on your tone of voice. That would be amazing. I would love it. And it would give me an excuse to like actually go meet people, you know? It's not something that comes easy to me. I like meeting new people, but it's hard. So if I did that, I'd be like, heck yeah, bring it. And if it had, say, preset conversation pieces, like what they do in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but they also gave you the chance to talk on your own, I'd pay for that. Hands down. In fact, let me type that in there before, say, a newcomer shows up on this stream and they missed that cool idea of mine. Tomodachi Life online with conversations as the focus instead of competitive gaming. I mean, I wouldn't say, well, I guess the question was for John Paul, but I'll answer it anyway. My beef with grinding is that it forces you to redo something that you've already done. And honestly, I don't really like games like that. I like games where it's like, okay, you beat the level, now go on to the next one. Now, would I say I hate grinding altogether? If I did, I would get nowhere in Fire Emblem Echoes, because if you don't grind in that game, you're going to be toast when you get to the final battle. Heck, I used the DLC to get the overclassed versions of most of the characters, and I still had a tough time in that final battle. So in some cases, grinding is absolutely necessary. But sometimes it just gets to a point where it's frustrating to grind. Like, for example, Final Fantasy. That series has been the bane of my existence up until Final Fantasy 15, which is the first one that I actually beat. Final Fantasy 15 doesn't require you to grind at all. In fact, the game is structured in a way that the game recognizes where the main camps of enemies are, and you're always going to have exactly enough experience when you get into every encounter so that you're able to take it on. So in other words, if you were to grind, it would actually make the game even easier, which I like that approach, because if I felt like, say, rushing through an area because I didn't like the graphics, then I could do that, and the game wouldn't punish me for it. And then there's games like Undertale, where if you go on the genocide route, you have to just walk around in a circle until an enemy randomly spawns. Ooh, how fun. Thankfully, I don't play genocide. I play pacifist when I play Undertale. I accidentally... Oh, yeah, I have a terrible time detecting sarcasm. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Something about grinding. I forgot. I'll get back to it in a minute, I guess. I guess games that do grinding right would probably be... No worries, Patrick. I have a whole bunch of issues. Don't need to apologize on behalf of those. Paper Mario and Paper Mario 2 are games that do grinding right. Because once you get to a certain level, then you're going to stop getting as much experience points from the lower enemies. So theoretically, if you go back to the early levels and try to grind out from, like, say, the low-level Goombas, they're just going to stop giving you experience points. So in other words, it's completely and utterly pointless to go grinding because it's not going to get you experience. So the game incentivizes you to go and tough it out against the harder enemies. And in Paper Mario 2, they have an even better system. They have the Pit of 100 Trials, which is basically an enemy gauntlet that has 100 floors, and each floor has increasingly tough enemies. And only very occasionally are you allowed to skip floors. And even then, you have to have money to do it. And there's also the potential risk of not running into a merchant. So there's a risk-reward system. And you can go to the Pit of 100 Trials pretty early in Paper Mario 2. However, you won't be able to fully beat it unless you're either a god at video games or you've gotten to the end of the game and are ready to face the tougher opponents. However, if you go to Glitzville after you've gotten to level 50 of the Pit of 100 Trials, nearly every enemy is going to only give you 1 star point. So it makes the entire third chapter a breeze. But I like how they give you that option. If you don't go to the Pit of 100 Trials, then Glitzville has a whole bunch of opponents that you face. But if you do go to the Pit of 100 Trials, then you can skip all those obnoxious, hey, you're going to face 2 Goombas in the ring. Whoopee. That's going to be a real challenge. And then Super Paper Mario comes along and doesn't have RPG. Well, it kind of does, but not really. It's pretty dumbed down as far as Paper Mario games go. I was so excited when they first announced Sticker Star. I mean, I was beyond excited when I saw the pictures in Nintendo Power and saw that they were returning to a turn-based battle. Then I read the reviews. And, oof, that is how you don't do a grindy game. Makes Final Fantasy look great in comparison, because even though the battles aren't random, you don't get any experience points for them, and you need to use resources to even do something as basic as jumping. It's like Mario's been able to jump just by pressing a button since Donkey Kong. So, I don't know. I was so tempted to rent Color Splash from Gamefly because I heard it had great writing, but I was like, I don't know if I want to focus on such a stupid, pointless battle system just to get to good writing. You can just look it up on YouTube. When a game is good, this is just my personal opinion, when a game, I would say a good game is a game that you wouldn't want to go on YouTube and be spoiled about everything. Rather, you take enjoyment in the playing of it. Now, because there's different genres of gameplay, that's going to play out differently depending on the game. So, for instance, Tetris 99, you're not going to go into that looking for a super engaging story. However, if you personally feel a sense of satisfaction that you beat 99 other people all over the world, you can be like, that's something you don't get on YouTube. That is something that you did, and you can feel proud of your accomplishment. Or, say, Phoenix Wright. Now, Phoenix Wright is a very story-driven, emotional game. So, you could go on YouTube and just read it like a book. You know, just be like, okay, well, this person's just going to solve all the puzzles, and I'll just enjoy the story. But then you don't get the satisfactory oomph of saying, I finally spotted the contradiction! Objection! And because the original game had a microphone, if you shouted objection to the microphone, it would make Phoenix shout objection in the courtroom. So you had that emotional oomph of saying, I did it! I got to be a lawyer for a day! But then you have games like Drowning, which is one of my least favorite games that I've ever reviewed. It's a game where you walk through a forest and you're told about this person suffering with depression, and you don't really do anything. All you do is walk. I don't even think there's a run button. If there is, there's like one moment in the game where you get to make a choice, and the choice is literally either do you want to go this way or that way. And there's multiple endings, sure, but that's the kind of game where I would say that's a bad game because there's not a sense of enjoyment you get out of playing it. You could easily watch a Let's Play of that game on YouTube and probably say it's okay. But as a gameplay experience, it's miserable because it goes so slow. Usually when I read in games, I usually am just that fast at pressing the A button. My brothers say that I'm finished reading a whole text bubble by the time they're reading 3 words. I'm a very fast reader, but when the game forces you to go insanely slow so that you're practically crawling through the game, it's like, I did not pay for a baby simulator. That's when I would say I would draw the line and say that's not a good game. That's a boring game. So, what games would I consider just not good games? Well, pretty much anything I reviewed on the Wii U that wasn't published by Nintendo. Well, Azure Snake and Rainbow Snake are definitely some of the worst ones I've ever reviewed. Those games just get boring after like a minute. Forest Escape was another one that was like, this is a whole game? It seems like a computer mini game. Then there's Mario. The thing with Super Mario Galaxy that I really love is that, yes, it had motion controls, but it didn't abuse the motion controls. It used them when it was needed and didn't try to shoehorn them into every little mechanic of the game. Not only that, but when I originally played it at GameStop, I did not know how to turn down the volume from the Wii Remote speaker, which was actually kind of a cool idea at the time. So if I pointed the Wii Remote at a star bit, I could hear the star bit going into my Wii Remote as though I was actually holding them in my hands. So it felt good to hear that. It's something you can't replicate on the TV. When I'm doing the water level and I'm turning my hand like that, I feel like my body movements and the health that God has graced me with, the fact that I'm able to be mobile and be able to turn my wrist has an impact on the game. That feels good. I like that. Super Mario Galaxy 2, same thing. The Grandmaster Galaxy, I'm one of the few people that actually beat that thing. And to have that satisfaction of knowing that your hand movements, your muscle memory is getting you through it is essentially satisfying experience. Maybe that's why not too many YouTubers like to review the Wii Fit games, because the whole point of them is for you to get down on the balance board and do the exercises so that your body feels good, not the reviewers. Who cares about the reviewer's body? Your body feels good. Actually, speaking of which, let me type that in the... Gotten into fitness boxing lately, so I'm not a huge fan of the character selection. Basically, there's only 6 trainers you can choose from, and of them, there's only 2 males, and both of them are like really super... I can't do it. Basically, they look like Captain Falcon, and it's just like, look, I'm this super scrawny, toothpicky kind of guy, and I would really appreciate it if they could have some representation of that. So the default trainer is female, which it's like, well, okay, I guess that's better than it being a monkey, who kind of sort of has my physique, but obviously it's a female's. So I was like, okay, maybe they have a male equivalent, but nope. So I'm stuck with someone of the opposite gender who doesn't even have the same hair as me, and I'm not even sure if she can get the same hair. If she can, I haven't unlocked the style for it yet. So she has like this super duper, I'm not going to do it, super short cut hair, which is, it's fine. I like girls with short hair. But then you go to the other female trainers and they look like they're about to go to a swimming pool. And it's like, okay, I get it. I've been to public swimming pools. I know what girls look like when they go swimming, but that's not what I want to see when I'm exercising. When I'm exercising, the focus should be on my hand movements, not on the trainer, because if I'm distracted by the trainer's body instead of the trainer's instructions, I'm going to mess up. That's going to desync my body. So that's my main gripe with that game right now, is just they wanted to go for suggestive stuff over practicality. And I kind of feel the same way about Wii Fit, but at least with Wii Fit, there's only 2 options, and both of them are like super duper generic gender stereotypes. So I feel like they could have done worse with that. Like, yeah, the male is ridiculously muscular and the female is ridiculously female, for lack of a better word. But at the very least, sorry, got allergies. At the very least, Wii Fit didn't put a whole lot of focus on the trainer's body. They put a lot of focus on the trainer's voice, which was nice because if I'm doing a yoga pose, well, actually I don't do yoga anymore because I heard that that's questionable in the Catholic Church. If I'm doing a stretching pose, I want to hear, move your shoulder a little bit more, as opposed to, I am the best looking man alive. It's like, ew, no, I don't want to hear that. So I've noticed my people count is going. So if you're here, don't let me blab all night. Feel free to say something. But yeah, I do like exercising games. Switch Lite owners are going to have a pain, though, because the game relies a lot on your foot movement, and the Switch currently isn't compatible with the Wii balance board, so the bottoms of the Joy-Con sensors, I guess, are sensing. That's gross. Oof. Didn't think Nintendo would go that far with their Joy-Cons. But hey, at least when you do the punches, they work. Why does that remind me of something? Well, now that you mention it, Patrick, there's actually 2 stages in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that share the same fish, but it's actually from a different game, Balloon Fight and Summit. The fish that tries to eat you on the Summit stage is actually the fish from Balloon Fight, just in 3D. And somehow they thought it would be a good idea to make King Dedede. Oh, man, I feel like an idiot now. The reason they made King Dedede be the fish is because Dedede is a penguin, and a penguin is a fish. Yay for me for being brilliant. Although, I still do not get for the life of me why they chose Young Link to portray Kaipora Gaibora. He's an owl. How does Young Link resemble an owl in the slightest? I mean, they made Falco represent like nearly every other bird in the game, so why not Kaipora Gaibora? I'm at a total loss there. I have no clue. Actually, that's a good segue. Favorite spirit battles or spirit concepts you'd like to see? If that's something I really liked about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it was spirits. I thought that was one of the most ingenious concepts that was ever created in the history of Smash Bros., possibly even rivaling the trophies, although deep down I really miss them, but deep down I think spirits were a pretty logical replacement. Yeah, I guess that's a good way of wording it, John Paul. I mean, personally, I'm kind of in the neither here nor there camp. Like, when I did yoga in Wii Fit, I just thought it was good exercise, and to my knowledge, I don't recall any demonic spirits entering me or anything like that. But I've been told that some Catholics, or anyone really, can be susceptible to certain things happening to them during yoga. So until I learn more information, I'm kind of just going to be like, well, it has plenty of other exercises I can do. Like, yoga is only a small portion of this gigantic list of cool things you can do in Wii Fit. Speaking of Wii Fit, you want to know a series that really could have been better is that one. Because they made basically 3 games, And I tried playing the one on the Wii U, and it was so hard to understand the menus. And even then, I feel like they could have made that on the Wii. But they needed to have a Wii Fit game on the Wii U, so they made Wii Fit U, and I don't know. Felt kind of rushed, in my opinion. Although, at the very least, it inspired a somewhat snazzy remix of the training menu in Smash Brothers. So, getting back to Spirits, what I really love about Spirits is that they essentially let you take basically any Nintendo character, not even Nintendo. We're getting into the realm of like Sonic the Hedgehog, Terry Bogard. Never even heard of the guy until now. Apparently, he's a SNK character. Greetings, Muhammad. I'm afraid I do not know that language, so I do hope you know English, but you are definitely welcome here. And yeah, like they took characters that you wouldn't think would be able to be in a Nintendo game and made it so that they were in a Nintendo game. So like one of my favorite examples was that's a tough one. Yes. Amen to that. I have to agree. One of my favorite Spirit battles was probably Snorlax. I really loved how they handled Snorlax. They made him King K. Rool, because King K. Rool has Snorlax's physique. And they made it so that he doesn't like to move, because in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Snorlax kind of just sits there the whole battle and doesn't really attack you at all. And it's like, that's a great way of incorporating Snorlax into a battle, besides when he just pops out of a Pokeball. It's like, how did he even fit in there? Oh, Pokemon logic. I'm never going to understand it. And so that got me thinking, like, ooh, wow. What if other Nintendo franchises could experiment to that degree? So a few that I had in mind from franchises that haven't been represented in Smash Brothers yet. That's the key word, because I don't know, they could do an update where they say like, hey, here's some more Mario spirits. They already have done that, so I wouldn't put it past them to do it again. Pearl Fay from the Ace Attorney series. She could probably be represented by Isabelle, because Isabelle has a very similar physique to Pearl. And because Pearl is able to channel spirits, yes, that's very questionable in the Ace Attorney series, but you can never have perfect media. Pearl would... I guess... Wow, that's a tough question. Yeah, I'm not sure how her moveset would work, but I think Isabelle would be the most likely candidate to represent her. Dang, Ace Attorney is a hard series to think about. Well, I guess for the judge, not too many characters have beards in Smash Brothers, so I don't know how they'd represent the judge. What about Edgeworth? Yeah. But getting into, say, The World Ends With You, Neku would obviously be probably Lucas or Ness. I think they have that, like, cool kid, like, leave me alone, get away from my face type of vibe. They have all the PSI attacks, so that would fit with Neku's badges galore. Personally, I think Neku would be a great character to have in Smash, but now that Square Enix has 2 reps, pretty sure they're just like, okay, Nintendo, where's the money? We want more money. And The World Ends With You isn't exactly this gigantic moneymaker. And Shiki would be represented by who else? Zero Suit Samus. Probably Bayonetta, if I know them. And their final smash would be working together. I'm combining a character concept with a spirit concept, aren't I? Yeah, that's, yeah, I guess they have it harder than you would think, but man, for those of you that downloaded the Banjo-Kazooie DLC, they handled Banjo and Kazooie spirits magnificently. Like, here I thought I had it all figured out. I was like, okay, these are the spirits they're going to use, and this is how it's going to play out. And boy, was I dead wrong. I couldn't even figure out who Gruntilda was going to be represented by. Turned out they used King Dedede of all people. I thought for sure it would be King K. Rool. get the Rareware villain in there because he was created by Rareware. But the fact that they had a whole bunch of Dr. Marios, that was representative of the 3 Klungo battles that you fought on your way to Gruntilda. And how there was poison on the floor was kind of like the cauldron that you jump into to like blast yourself to the top of Gruntilda's tower. Or maybe it was indicative of when Gruntilda spews the whole arena with poison in the final battle of Banjo Tooie. Then the Jiggies were represented by golden Kirby's that just jumped, floated, and because the Jiggies bounce. It's brilliant. Like, just brilliant. Honestly, I have no idea what to think about Metroid Prime 4 because they completely rebooted its development, and now Retro's going to do it. Because it's like, yeah, we didn't think of having Retro do it in the first place, but now we finally figured it out. But seeing as I haven't even played Metroid Prime 1, I don't know if I'll be playing Metroid Prime 4 anytime soon. I do have Metroid Prime 3, but I still haven't played it because I'm terrible at shooters. And I would probably be really bad at that one. But I heard that it looked great for a Wii game, so I might give it a try if it comes on Switch. Keyword is might, because like I said, I'm just so awful at shooters that I tried playing Metroid Blast with my friend Nick in Nintendo Land, and he kind of clobbered me. Because I was playing as Samus, he was playing as the gunship, and he just blasted the smithereens out of me. So I don't know how to shoot. I did shoot a rifle once. That's a fun fact. Didn't shoot any person or animal with it, but I was able to try it out, and honestly, I don't really remember what it was like. I just remember saying, I shot a rifle. That's cool. As for games I'm looking forward to, there's not a whole lot at the moment, which I'm glad for, because every now and then I like to take a break and, do something on the virtual console or, do a run of a game that I haven't done before. So, for instance, after I beat Link's Awakening, I was like, oh, good. I can finally get rid of this chore and start playing some more Minish Cap, because I haven't played that game in years. Breath of the Wild 2, I don't think there's enough information about it for me to be excited. Because let's face it, Zelda games have a tendency for trying to make direct sequels, and then the direct sequels end up inducing a lot of ire from fans of the original. A Link Between Worlds, which was initially kind of a skeptical project for a lot of people, myself included, because they went with the whole merging mechanic. But turns out the merging is one of my favorite elements of Zelda puzzle solving to date, so I'm not going to be so skeptical in the future. Heck, now we've got Cadence of Hyrule, and no one bats an eye. Everyone's just like, yay! A Zelda rhythm game, without even thinking about it. It's great. So, with Breath of the Wild 2, if they're going to take the series in this gigantic, wild new direction, I'm going to just be like, Majora's Mask did a great job with Ocarina of Time's engine. And if this game is being built from the Switch, like, as a Switch exclusive, I'm hoping that they're going to have way better performance and specs than Breath of the Wild did. Because let's face it, Breath of the Wild, at the end of the day, which I have said even before the game came out, it always has been and always will be a Wii U port. The Switch version was just a lazy attempt at Nintendo saying, guys, the Wii U is failing, abandon ship, but the Wii U version's almost done, so just put it on the Switch then. But you promised the fans it would be out in 2015. Who cares what the fans think? We're doing our own agenda. Not cool, guys. Not cool. Although, I mean, if it sold, great. But those of us that owned it on the Wii U are considerably marginalized. And wherever I go, if I say I like Breath of the Wild, it's generally followed with, cool, did you get it on your Switch? I'm like, no, I got it on the system it was meant for. And it's brilliant on the Wii U. In fact, so brilliant that I was at my friend's house and he had the Wii U version. And for a minute, I had to ask him, like, whoa, is this the Switch version? He's like, no, this is the Wii U. And I was like, dang, this looks gorgeous. And so it goes to show you that the Wii U had some amazing tech back in the day. It's just that people didn't appreciate the Wii U as a system. So if they didn't appreciate the system, how could they appreciate the tech that went along with it? Honestly, when I first saw the Wii U, the reason I wasn't sold was because the games they were announcing didn't seem appealing. For instance, I wanted a new Fire Emblem and I wanted a new Ace Attorney. I got neither. Although Tokyo Mirage Sessions was a decent compromise, it had elements of Fire Emblem. And then, I really liked Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I liked it. Not going to say it was the Fire Emblem I dreamed of, but I liked it. In fact, I actually pre-purchased Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encores, what a mouthful, on the Switch because I loved the original so much. Really hoping they don't include that hot spring stuff that was missing from the Japanese version. Because honestly, ever since Fire Emblem went down the road of fan service, it's kind of been going to the dogs. But Three Houses has been doing pretty good so far. They released the first DLC pack with alternate outfits. And at first, I was moaning and groaning, being like, oh no, this is Fire Emblem Fates all over again. Turns out they look like they're just going to a basketball game. So, it depends on how much you prefer a Victorian-era dress to something at a sports game. But if they have a monastery activity that forces you to get undressed in front of all the women, which they had something like that in Fire Emblem Fates, I was not proud of it. Was even less proud of it when I found out it was an optional feature of the game. I'm going to be mad. But because no one else will do it, I'll probably be the one that ends up reviewing it. Because it seems like major reviewers nowadays don't like to review DLC. I don't know why. Maybe it's because... I don't know why. I've kind of lost track, to be honest. Maybe it's because they've got so much that they want to do. And not only that, but they're doing this for a living, so they've got to save face a little. They got to do the games that are going to bring in people that are going to view their columns. So if they were to waste their time reviewing Around the World in 80 Spaces on the Wii U, people aren't going to read that because they're going to be like, a Wii U game in 2019? You kidding me? I, on the other hand, don't get paid. I don't care if people hate me or unsubscribe because they don't like the fact that I'm reviewing a Wii U game in 2019. It's like, okay, how many reviews does this have? None? Well, someone's got to review it. I mean, if someone could have... Yeah, I was around when the Wii U first came out, which was back in 2012. And I still consider the Wii U to be new in some respects. Like the menu, for example. The Switch's menu doesn't have any music. But the Wii U's, I don't even know how to imitate it with my voice. The synth that they use and the Mii's running around in the crowd, it's amazing. And the way that the Wii U's eShop is structured is actually way nicer than the Switch's because the load times are not as bad. And they present things in such a Nintendo-y way. The eShop feels like you're just going on Amazon. Or the Switch eShop feels like you're just going on Amazon. Plus, I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it until it finally sinks into someone's head. The Wii U gamepad is way more comfortable than the Joy-Cons. And if the Wii U gamepad was as portable as the Switch was, I would probably just ditch the Switch and take my gamepad everywhere. Or, even better, if Nintendo makes another model of the Switch, and they call it the Gamepad Lite, you can bet your hush puppies that I would buy that thing, and I would just check out my old Switch and just say, this looks like a Wii U. And then if it plays like a Wii U, like if it has everything the Wii U had, free online, the menus, the Miiverse, Netflix, if it had all that, but yet it was portable, I would say, Nintendo, this is great. That's like one of the main reasons people hated the Wii U was the name and the lack of portability. Now that you get rid of both, people might like it. Now, the first game I ever had for my Wii U was Mario Kart 8, and I liked it. But that wasn't enough incentive to buy the system for me. For me, what eventually sold me were 2 games. Well, technically 3. Hyrule Warriors, Super Smash Bros., and Breath of the Wild. Those 3 games were the games that I was like, I'm going to be miserable if I don't get these. So I feel like I should. Then there was also a little bit of me that was thinking maybe an Ace Attorney will come, which it never did. So that was a huge waste of money down the toilet. But the Wii U had other things to offer besides just games. Like it had Netflix, it had YouTube. Actually, I think it still supports Netflix because the Switch doesn't have Netflix, so Nintendo's got to keep supporting it on the Wii U because then that's going to look really bad, especially in the face of the competitors. I mean, they're shutting down YouTube on the 3DS, so got to have it somewhere. It also had the ability to control the TV on the gamepad. That was also cool. Plus, it was the first HD Nintendo console, and especially with Mario Kart 8, it was like, whoa, Toad's Turnpike, 1997 to 2014. Wow. I didn't think it was capable of actually being good. Excuse me. I always hated Toad's Turnpike in the original. I liked the music, but I didn't like the chorus. And then Mario Kart 8 and Hyrule Warriors and Smash Bros. Just kept getting DLC. Yeah, I really liked the original Wii, but if I'm going to be honest with you, the forced motion controls on like 99% of the games were kind of a turnoff for me because, like, for instance, just to turn on the Wii, you had to have a working Wii remote, and you had to have either a sensor bar or, believe it or not, a Guitar Hero controller. If you wanted to navigate the Wii menu with just traditional control schemes, you had to use a Guitar Hero controller to manually move the cursor without using your shaky hand. And my hands are about as shaky as they can get. I would make for a terrible surgeon. Exactly, Patrick. And they're still coming out with a Wii game called Just Dance 2020. I've got it in my queue for Gamefly. So yes, I'm going to be the one person on the internet that's going to review the Wii version. I actually reviewed the Wii version of Just Dance 2019 too, which apparently I'm the only one that did that. So yeah, that thing is just going to keep going. What was I saying? Yeah, so there were a few Wii games that said, you know what, guys, let's go for good gameplay over innovation. Just to name a few. Radiant Dawn did not use any motion controls whatsoever, except for starting up the game. You could use a GameCube controller, so if you play Path of Radiance, you wouldn't have any adjusting to the controls whatsoever. You also had Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Again, didn't really have motion controls. It had a smash strike, but no, I never figured out how to get that. Most people just use GameCube controllers. Then you had Xenoblade Chronicles and Last Story, which also didn't have motion controls. You could use a classic controller for those. So those are 4 great games that didn't take advantage of the technology that was the selling point for the Wii in the first place. Now, I get it. Motion controls were something that wasn't really done all that much in gaming. And if it had been done, it was kind of a kind of deal. And then the Wii came along, and if Nintendo published a game with motion controls, they made it look effortless. If anyone else did, run for the hills. But games like Skyward Sword, the tech for those games was developed so late into the Wii's life cycle that I feel like it almost wasn't even worth them making the games at all. Although, I have heard that Skyward Sword was responsible for Breath of the Wild's big open world because people complained, including myself, back in the day, before we even heard of the Wii U. I was complaining that Skyward Sword didn't have a connecting overworld. It had 3 worlds that you dropped into from the sky. So it felt like everything was so separated, like a jigsaw puzzle. And then A Link Between Worlds came along and fixed everything. And then Breath of the Wild came along and was like, A Link Between Worlds? I'm just going to throw you in the trash right now. Yeah, I can see how you would say that. Yeah, Metroid Prime Trilogy, that's a game I always wanted on the Wii, but it was always so darn expensive getting the physical version. Like even way into the Wii U's lifespan, they still sold it for $60 at GameStop. Although they also put it on the Wii U Virtual Console for only $20. So I think that's a pretty good price. The problem is, would it be worth it for me because I don't like shooters? I don't know. You tell me. Do you think it's a newbie-friendly game for shooters, or do you think it's, Paul, if you don't like shooters, you're going to hate this? Let's see. What are my favorite genres of games? I really like adventures, obviously, because, Breath of the Wild. Platformers are pretty good, if they're good platformers. I like Sonic. I like Mario. Why is it invalid? Every opinion is valid on this channel. Graphic novels, I would probably say, is my favorite overall genre because I like being able to have inputs on a story. Unless that story is Will, A Wonderful World, that game is just awful. It started out cool, but then it just got depressing. Yeah. If you can't beat something, why review it? That's been my policy since day one. Oh, day one of when I started reviewing video games, which was a whopping 3 years ago. Wow, time has flown. Fun fact, the first game I ever reviewed was Majora's Mask 3D. And the reason I got started reviewing video games on this channel, it's actually kind of a silly reason. It's because I liked Nintendo Power. And I wanted to, that would probably turn me off, unfortunately. Although I heard that game was rough around the edges to begin with. Okay, so what started me reviewing games on this channel was I actually started reviewing games on Facebook. The problem was that not enough people were looking at them, and the few people that didn't like my review style. And to this day, it has stung so much that I have actively tried to take that one piece of advice into account for every single review I've ever done. And that was, ew, Paul, I don't want to read your review because it had too many spoilers. And guess which game it was? Majora's Mask 3D. So I said, I think it's time to start from square one. So I got in front of my camera, looking like an idiot and all, and I just said, all right, I'm going to re-review Majora's Mask, but I'm not going to spoil it. And I'm going to make sure I've beaten it so that I know as much as possible, so I can give a full, in-depth review. The other thing that inspired reviews on this channel were a positive comment that same guy, oh, John Paul, you're missing out. I would highly recommend the 3DS version because it's more forgiving with its save system, because the original game was like quick saving, whereas the 3DS version has pretty generous save states, including you can always save at the start of every dungeon, which was not possible in the original N64 version. And it lets you do camera control if you have either a Circle Pad Plus or a new 3DS. And it's in 3D, which is also cool. And they don't have a master quest, which is kind of unfortunate, but they do have hint videos if you think it's too hard. So they're basically anti-YouTube. Nice. So the other reason I started doing reviews on YouTube was because reviews are a dime a dozen nowadays. If you type in review of basically any video game, you're going to get like 10,000 results, and mine is usually going to be at the bottom. However, I wanted to set myself apart from the other reviewers. And the one thing that guy had said I think it was when I reviewed Smash Brothers for 3DS on Facebook, he said, Paul, when I'm reading this, I'm picturing you talking. So I don't see it as a review. I see it as you being Paul and doing your own style. And I liked that. I said, ooh, being able to make my own mark in gaming in a polished way. I thought I could do this with so many more video games. I'll review a game in a style that is like, it just screams like this is a Paul review to anyone that knows me in real life. They'd be like, yeah, this wasn't done by a professional journalist. This was done by a guy with insanely long hair and an unforgettable, well, everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. People just don't forget that stuff about me. Ooh, I really hope they forget that ugly stuff, though, because I was messed up before you met me, John Paul. I was messed up. I mean, in a manner of speaking, I can come across as very cult-like. Like, I have this tendency to say, like, if you're going to be my friend, be in there for life. Don't just, like, be there only for the conference and then just, like, drop off the face of the earth. I mean, I kind of have to say that to the minors nowadays to make sure that there's not, like, legal issues. But for the most part, I don't like people that see me as a temporary, amazing person. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, I'm done with you. Back to normal life. Back to living a life of sin. It's like, was I really just like a piece of tissue to you? That kind of hurts my feelings, you know? And not much hurts my feelings. So that's saying a lot. Why did I have caps lock on? No idea. Now, as far as why did I start having footage in my reviews? Because one guy. Yeah, I might have to quote that on Facebook. That's a good one, Patrick. That's a really good one. I started doing footage because, well, I would have done it sooner, but then the Nintendo Creators Program, I found out about it the day after I told my coworker that I was getting a capture card. So that's why I put it off for so long. The main reason was because well, for one, I didn't want to spoil the game. And for two, I had this mistaken notion, maybe I was big-headed back then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was a very, very successful public speaker. Like, so successful, I got a 99% approval rating on my second ever public speech. And I thought, okay, with all this popularity, it's going to be no problem reviewing a game on YouTube. You just treat it like you do with your audience. Oh, how wrong I was. I was dead wrong. So I decided to just take that guy's advice, who no longer exists, so I'm not going to quote his name, because he like disappeared from my channel for some reason. I did not block him. I don't know what the heck happened to him. But he said, Paul, people won't pay attention to your reviews if they're just looking at your ugly face. They want to see footage of the game. They don't want to see footage of you. And then he also said my audio quality was terrible. Not much I can do about that. So I said, okay, you win. I'll do footage. So once Nintendo abolished the Creators Program, I just went boom, boom, boom. Let's do some video re-reviews, guys. So if that April Fool's Nintendo Direct was a genuine thing and they eventually want everything on the Switch, then I'm going to try to re-review every game I've ever done on this channel. And I've done it so far before, and I've enjoyed it. Like, I re-reviewed Phoenix Wright when it came on the Switch, because originally I reviewed it on the 3DS, and I couldn't get footage for it because 3DS capture cards are, like, insanely expensive. Same thing with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. People didn't like the style I used for my original video. I still think it's hilarious. They probably didn't like the fact that I had a runny nose at the time. But I reviewed Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze 3 times. Once with just my face, another time with pictures when the Switch version came out, and then a third time once they abolished the creators program, and I did the Switch version again. Except I used footage from the Wii U version, so I don't know what I was thinking. Nice! Oh yeah! No, I never worry about my hair. I should say I never worry about the length. Sometimes I get concerned that it just never seems to want to do what I want it to do when I try to comb it. My hair's pretty much always been that for like forever now. But no, the long hair is like my signature look. That's how most people recognize me now. But yeah, my hair has a mind of its own. Sometimes it wants to be straight, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just puts itself into position without me even trying. So I just say, okay, well, I'm not one to get overboard about peer pressure, so I'm just going to let it do what I want. Or do what it wants. You know, I've been told by a lot of people that I have the kind of long hair that even the girls envy, because a lot of girls that have hair as long as mine or longer would say that they would spend like an hour in the bathroom just trying to comb it and condition it. And I come along and I'm like, when was the last time I combed my hair? And they're like, but it still looks so great. Or at least that's what I think they would say. I'm not really sure what most girls say. But when I was at my old job, there was a girl that was jealous of me for how good I could make a ponytail compared to her. And her hair was like twice as long as mine. And I don't know why she was jealous of that. I think she was trying to make me feel good, because she was one of those girls that was like putting me on such a high pedestal. I was getting really embarrassed. Nowadays, I just want to make sure that my hair doesn't grow so long that I have to swish it over my shoulder. That's all I really care about now. But the problem with if you don't have long hair is that with my hair being as messy and uncontrollable as it is, if I were, say, to wake up and have a bad hair day with short hair, I wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I'd just have to get a buzz cut. And I would hate a buzz cut because then my ears would be cold in the wintertime. No joke. That's literally one of the main reasons I keep the hair, is because my ears get cold very easily. So if I go to sleep and, hey, Brady, I don't know if we've met, but I'm going to tell you right now, I am a dude. So you can see I cut myself while shaving there if you need proof. Because apparently girls don't get cut on their throat, like, ever. There are some girls that shave, but they don't get cut on their throat because they don't have as big of an Adam's apple. And I have about as guyish of an Adam's apple as it gets. No worries, it's the voice. They say, oh, Paul, you sound so much like a girl. When really, I don't. No, I am about as guyish as they can get. I just can't prove it because that would be super duper inappropriate. But yes. So, what brought you to the channel, Brady? We're just doing a bit of, basically just rambling, making random comments here and there. Super duper casual outing. Just recently got 300 subscribers. Was hoping for a Q&A. That didn't last very long, but it was fun while it lasted. Was just telling the other two watchers of the stream that I have extremely... Hello. Have a good night. I'm just doing a live stream, no worries. That was my brother. I had to say goodnight. So, that's never going to get old. That is never going to get old. I think that's great. Actually, I think there is an order of priests and religious called the Paulist ministries, and they base their order on like how St. Paul would like go to different countries and like preach to them based on their individual needs, because each of his letters was tailored toward how their culture saw things. So like his letter to the Corinthians was based on what the Corinthians are struggling with. Your third sibling? Did I meet him by any chance? Well, whether I met him or not, tell him I said hi back, and hope he gets into the right kind of gaming, and even better, that he eventually goes to a super cool Catholic conference where I got this t-shirt. Oh, Catholic Artwork Camp. I love that place so much. What I love about Catholic Artwork Camp, and I know I've done a whole lot of what I love about CHWC live streams, but this one is ever so slightly different. What I love about Catholic Artwork Camp is that it says that it's a mission trip, but honestly, it's not. Like, it's really a social outing. But it says that it's not a social outing. It says, well, the only people you really need to talk to are the people in your parish group, which are very forced discussion questions, and the people in your work team. So, like, you usually have 1 or 2 adults and 6 teenagers, and they're assigned to a project. Sometimes you get multiple groups that are assigned to the same project. They just have separate lunch times. But the thing about CHWC is that it does not feel like a mission trip in the slightest. Like, you're on the work site and you're given discussion questions at lunch. You're also encouraged, like, talk to the people on your team, communicate, don't just work silently. You're also encouraged to like talk to the people that you're working for. So for instance, if I'm working for a single mother with 4 kids, I'm encouraged to play with the kids, and I'm encouraged to talk to the mother and say like, hey, my name is Paul. I'm the leader of this group of teenagers, and this is what we're here to help on your house. Here's where we can't do it. Here's where CHWC says, don't be putting your teenagers on the roofs now. And I know I may come across as this insanely social butterfly, but honestly, it's because I make it look easy. I actually really prefer alone time and contemplating before I go into an outing. But CHWC makes it look effortless to talk to people, except that dreadful 2015 year, but we do not talk about that here on this stream because that is way too PG-13. But most mission trips, they're presented in a way that, like, it's... You've been to CHWC too, Patrick? You gotta tell me about that. Because, man, I want to hear more CHWC stories. Like, I don't hear nearly enough of them on YouTube. But yeah, like, if you don't sit by... What? Oh. I'm really sorry, but I do... Wow. CHW... A CHWC reunion. I feel like I'm meeting a celebrity right now. Wow. What year did you meet me on? That must have been the year that I didn't bring my notebook, because if I had brought my notebook, I would have remembered you for sure, but I probably... Do I even still have that stupid thing? I brought that to nearly every mission trip, except for, like, 2. I think it was, like, 2016 and 2018 were the years that I did not bring that notebook, because here it is. This is how I remember people that I went on trips with. So let's see what we got here. Ooh, I forgot that I had these. Okay, so that's a lot of NCYC here. Very lot of NCYC here. Although I do have the CHWC team that was at NCYC. That's so cool. Oh, okay, let me show you this right now, guys. This is probably only going to be cool to me. Morganton. Morganton? Was I hit over the head by a rock or something? How do I not remember you in the slightest? Or are you and John Paul actually the same person? Oh, wait. Oh, you two are brothers. Because you're... Oh, I see. That's cool. That's really cool. How did I... Oh, man, I feel so stupid now. Yeah, that was an amazing night. I really wish I could get more people to hear about my story. But yeah, there's some CHWC autographs from NCYC. They're mirrored in here, so you probably don't see it, but you can at least where my pinky is moving, there's the CHWC logo. Oh, Morganton. That was the camp that I almost nearly didn't go to. Because what happened was 2015's mission trip was a disaster. Like an absolute just awful experience. So awful, in fact, that after that mission trip, I strongly encouraged my mother that I was going through depression because she was starting to see just this huge, very steep decline in my mood. Because I'm normally a very happy, upbeat person. But the day after that mission trip, I was just doing nonstop complaining and just saying every other thing was terrible. I had 3 breakdowns on that trip. 3. And not just like, oh, that program is so touching, I'm gonna cry, but like day 1, locked myself in the bathroom and like pounded the sink. Day 2, well, okay, not in that exact order, but it was a nightmare. Now, granted, there were people that I met that said, Paul, you made a huge difference in my life, and that's cool. You know, I wouldn't want to undo any of that. But I personally got next to nothing out of it. And then one of the staff members ended up being in jail, so that didn't help much either. So I got to the end of Mission Trip 2015, and I was ready to just call it quits by the end of Four Corners. And then 3 girls, might have been 4, but I was so miserable it probably wasn't counting. 3 girls came and they like surrounded me as I was walking out of the program area. They're like, Paul, you've got to come back to CHWC. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. I just hated it so much here, but I did a good job at Four Corners. So I'm just going to end on a high note, and then I'm never going to come back to this place. But they persisted. Antisocial. Oh. I mean, you weren't part of that group that like the one kid got the glass in his leg and the other kid went to the hospital? Because I don't blame you if you were in that group. I mean, I'd be pretty darn shaken up too if I had witnessed all that blood. Okay, good. Good to know. I still have the pictures of me and Molly and them. That was cool. That was great. So yeah, so they said, well, Paul, what can we do to convince you to come back? I'm like, even if I did come back, I probably won't ever meet you guys again. So I told them in jest, I totally did not think that they were going to do this. I was like, yeah, right. They're girls. They're not known for their loyalty. So I said, well, if you really want me to come back, pray that St. Joseph's never fails novena. Well, midway through 2016, I was at the park and I was doing really, really, really hard thinking. And this little voice in the back of my head said, hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul. Someone really needs your help on that trip. There's a girl, and this girl really needs your help. So I said, for real? Called Julie up on this phone, Still had this phone all the way back then. Okay, good. No one tried to call me, and I said, Julie, is there room on the mission trip bandwagon? But then all of 2016 was basically me trying to help out my sister, who was also going through depression. I had just gotten out of depression right before that trip, thank goodness. And she was like just getting into it. So I was trying to help her out on that. So again, a good mission trip, but not so good as far as me getting something out of it. Not only that, but I had wanted to be an associate staff, but there were too many that were given the associate staff role. So they ended up putting me on a team, and I loved it. We were team 1, which is great. We worked on motel rooms, which is also great. Then I said, yeah, I think I'm done with CHWC. I've learned all that I can, and it's just starting to get annoying. So then I skipped 2017 altogether. But what got me to go back on that, you're never going to believe me. You're probably going to think, Paul, of all the stupidest stories of how you went to CHWC, that was what got you to go? I decided that I wanted to help the CHWC team at my parish pack up their vans. So I showed up the day that they were leaving. And I helped them pack the vans, and it was really awkward because there were a lot of people that didn't know me and hardly even said hi to me, or didn't even look at me for that matter. But I tried. I packed the stuff in the back as best as I could. I taught them, like, this is the way to do a compact van ride. And as I was inside the vans packing, I started smelling the vans. And I said, I like this smell. And then they took off. And I broke down on the inside because I was like, I'm going to miss that smell. I'm not going to smell that van for another 2 years. So I said, Julie, I'm going on next year's mission trip, and I'm going to enjoy myself. So I got the associate staff member position, and I read up on the policies of what to do and what not to do so many times that I think I know them even better than the CHWC staff. And it ended up being the greatest weekend of my life, especially that Eucharistic miracle. Funny that I'm saying that because my back is actually sore right now from bending over on this screen so much. Oh, okay. But yeah, it was, I didn't even ask for, me too, yeah. Like, if you had seen me, okay, you want to know something super ironic about that trip is I actually was struggling with really insane back problems during the actual trip before that night in really terrible ways. Like, for starters, there's a video I made called All CHWC 2018 Vlogs. If you don't want to watch all of them, I made a shorter version called Saturday and Sunday Highlights. Just type CHWC 2018 Catholic Nintendo Nerd. You'll find it. The cover is of the red helium man that was waving around on the first day. So the first place where we stayed, I ended up vlogging this, and I laughed so hard after I saw that in retrospect. I had said in the vlog, so here is where we will be sleeping, and the hard floor is great for people with bad backs like mine. So then we got to the camp, and Julie said, hey, Paul, I could really use your help in carrying some of the snacks over to the cafeteria. So I happened to get the box full of Gatorades. Let me tell you, when you've got a bad back, that's the last thing you want to be carrying. So I am shuffling along, just like, oh, this is terrible. And the sophomore girl came up and she was like, do you need some help? And I'm thinking, oh boy, I better not get in trouble here, but I can't lift this thing to save my life. So I just said, okay, sure, great. And I'm just like huffing and puffing the whole entire way. This girl is like doing 90% of the work. She's the one that's like dragging me along. And I'm basically just like riding along like I'm a dog on a leash because I can barely lift the thing. We finally get into the cafeteria and we finally heave it onto our table. And I still remember where that table was. It was in the back, sort of like in the middle-ish. Wow. And I said to her, "Oh my gosh, I am so thankful you helped me out because I have such a terrible back and I could barely lift that thing. And you are a lifesaver." And then 2 nights later, Eucharistic Adoration Night happened. And here's the true story of what happened, because I did not tell everything on that stage because Father Norman had said, keep it brief. So I couldn't go into all the details, but what basically happened was I was going through a really rough patch with my, at the time, sort of girlfriend. We were kind of like sort of broken up, but sort of not. Like in sort of a pensive deciding moment. And I was thinking about that throughout the whole camp, just like, what am I going to do with her? Like, I know we're not dating, but I know we're not technically broken up, so I got to get this sorted out. And not only that, but I was also really frustrated at the fact that I kept introducing myself to people that already knew me, because the face blindness thing. Like I would meet a girl and then I'd forget about her 2 seconds later because the faces, they all look the same basically. So I got down on my knees and I touched the cloth and I said, "Lord, Father Norman just told a really great story about the woman with hemorrhages. And I want to ask for healing too. So if you're willing to heal me, then I ask that you give me one of two things." I said, "The first thing is I would really appreciate it if you would get me and my girlfriend back together. The second thing I would really like is if you remove this incessant prosopagnosia, which is the official scientific name of face blindness." And I kissed the cloth and I hobbled back on my knees. And then literally within seconds, that's when, of course, if you guys recall the speech, that's when the fire on the shoulders started and on the back. And that's when I started being able to go like that. And I did that right there in the room so that everyone could see it. Well, everyone that was like on that side of the gym could see it. Surprisingly, no one tried to stop me. No one was like, "Are you crazy or something?" Well, I thought I was going crazy because I got up and I rushed to the side of the room and I said, Josh, you got to get me to the camp nurse. I got to see if this is legit." So he did. And he took me to the camp nurse and she did a very quick examination. She was like, "Does this hurt? Does this hurt? Does this hurt? Touch your toes." I was like, no, it feels great. And so for the rest of the week, I was doing stuff that the Sacred Heart people would have said, "That's impossible." I went into the kitchen and I lifted up 7 sheet trays above my head. I was picking up chairs by the 3s and 4s and just like, dude, this doesn't even hurt. And I was even able to do those push-ups, which I wasn't originally intending to do push-ups. I was originally intending to lift up the chairs. But then the close proximity to the altar made me afraid that I might drop them. So in literally a second's notice, because I'm known for improvisational speeches when I do speeches in real life, as I was doing that speech, I looked behind me and I saw the distance between the chairs and the altars. And in that moment, again, you can watch it on YouTube, I said, "Well, I guess I'll just do push-ups." So that was a very spur of the moment thing. And I actually beat my record since then. I've now been able to go up to 11, maybe 12, but at least 11. I'm still not that great at push-ups, but my best friend was watching me do them the other day and he was like, "Wait, you're doing real push-ups now. I thought you couldn't even do them." And I was like, "Yeah, I thought I couldn't either, but my back is doing great. I've been able to mow the lawn since then. Heck, now I'm like the only person that mows the lawn in the front because my back is so great. And I don't even break a sweat. There was one time where my mother asked me to shovel the snow. And I said, "Okay." So I did. And then I knocked on the door and I was like, "Mom, I'm done shoveling the snow." She's like, "Wait, really? What? You were only out there for a couple of minutes." She looked out. She's like, "What?" She's like, "How did you do it so quickly?" And I said, it doesn't hurt my back all that much, like at all. It feels great. So I'm not saying my back has been 100% foolproof, rocket-proof perfect since then. It's more so of God repositioned my back so that it was like it should have been at my age. So yes, there have been times where my back has hurt since then, but it hasn't been like so ridiculously over the top that I was left moaning and groaning aloud in so much pain just from bending down and picking something up. Or, I don't know, like I'd try to raise my hand and my shoulder would start cramping and I'd be like, oh, I can't do that. But now I can like just go like that, no problem. I mean, it twinges a little bit because it's like stretching the muscle. But before, like, my shoulder would just be so sore if I went beyond this. So like that's about as far as I could go. Now I can go all the way up here. Funny thing is, John Paul, I didn't ask for my back or my shoulders to be healed. Like, it didn't even cross my mind that they needed to be healed. It was, I asked to be back with my girlfriend. We broke up right after the mission trip. I asked to be rid of face blindness. That didn't happen. Nope, I still introduce myself to people I already know. So that's no fun. So instead, I asked and I received something other than what I asked. So that's what happened. So Patrick, if you could enlighten me, did I end up doing whatchamacallit, a photo run of your work site? Because I was only able to do so many work sites as an associate staff because they had like 2 different teams, and I usually went with I think his name was Isaac, the staff member that was like really outgoing. How do I not know this? He was on my team for a whole week. Ugh. Kate, the team builder, was amazing. I say team builder. She was actually the kitchen manager. I still remember exactly how she sounds. Taco Tuesday had to be the hardest part of that trip, by far. I hope you guys really liked those tacos because the pressure was on us so much that I honestly thought they were going to kick us out of there. Because what happened was we got into the kitchen at the earliest time that they asked us to do. And Kate, with that very distinctive voice of hers, came along and said, guys, in the next 5 minutes, we need you to make 500 tacos. I was like, what? You have got to be kidding me. I'm having a hard enough time just making one. We did it somehow. We had to ask 2 teenagers to help us out, and all of us had to be all hands on deck, but we did it. Thank you, John Paul. I am so glad to hear it. You have no idea how many teenagers came up to us and said, Paul, I was wondering if you could give me the tacos, but without the tacos, just give us the meat and the beans. And I was like, but we worked so hard to make those tacos. And then the adults came in because apparently they had a meeting. Because every Tuesday they have a meeting. But because I was on the associate staff, I didn't get to go to the meeting. So what happened was they came and they were famished because they didn't get to have snacks like all the teenagers did. You know how at CHWC most of the time the teenagers like rush to the snack table in the cafeteria. I should know, I used to go to CHWC as a youngster myself, so I should know. The adults just came in and they were just like, give us the tacos. We're hungry. And I was like, thank goodness you are here because these teenagers do not want these tacos that we have immaculately made. So you can go ahead and eat as much as you like. Huh. 2 ladies. Yeah. It's okay. It was like a year ago, so I'm over it now. I think it was more so of the fact that like most of the teenagers only wanted part of what we were giving. And I was just surprised by like, when I went to CHWC, tacos were like this huge deal. Like everyone loved Taco Tuesday. This year it felt like kind of I don't know, an afterthought. I mean, yes, I wore the sombrero and I almost forgot to take it off too because I was loving it so much. And as far as the It's Raining Tacos song that they played that night, I heard it for way longer than you guys did. If you thought you were annoyed by it, you want to know how long we had to listen to it for? Approximately 2.5 hours. Because we got in there to start making the tacos and they were playing the song at full volume. Then you all showed up and we played it while we were serving. Then they played it while we were eating. So you might be wondering, Paul, how the heck did you survive that? Honestly, it was the motivation to make the tacos. Like, Kate told us to make so much in such a little time limit that part of me just tuned out the song. No, it actually wasn't that bad at all. To tell you the truth, the part where the piano starts coming in and the rest of the instruments kind of toned down, that part of the song just did something to my soul where I felt like this is almost like a farewell to CHWC, saying this is perfect. This is the greatest experience of your life. And to think that was the night that I was going to be healed in adoration. That constant piano melody kept me going, saying, I'm going to make the best tacos ever. I'm going to make sure that these teenagers are fed, and the adults, of course, too. I'm going to make sure that they're fed, and they're happy, and they're enjoying themselves, and adoration's going to be great. And just think, Four Corners came the day after, and I kept saying to the teenagers over and over and over again, how are they going to beat adoration? They're going to have to be really on top of their game because I had a Eucharistic miracle. We had a procession outside. This was insanity. Yet, Four Corners was mind-blowing. Well, if I had to nitpick about it even just a tad, I would say the space that they used probably could have been utilized better. I think it would have been better if we went to the gym because honestly, the only time I went into the gym the entire time, that entire week, was when I found out that I was on associate staff. Then they said, oh, well, you're coming with us. And then I left the gym right away after that. For the rest of you, that was where you were put into your teams and they first told you hey, so I'm your team builder. What are all your names? So yeah, I didn't spend much time in the gym. I thought that would have been the perfect place for Four Corners. But no, we just had it in the program area, much to a lot of people's dismay. Much to my dismay, too, because there were quite a few girls that had nowhere else to talk but next to me. So I said, oh, you need some help? They're like, no, we just want to talk. Okay, well, I'm here if you need me. No problem. So what work projects did you guys end up doing then? You all know what my work project was. I was helping out the staff the whole time. Got to go hiking in the woods for one team because they were in charge of blazing a forest trail, which I actually did one time way back in 2012. Wow, I've been on too many of these. I think I might have been. No, I didn't go to that. Were you on the same work team as my friend Nick? Because I think he said he cut trails too. Yeah, the sites we went to were, let's see, I visited a team that was, I think, entirely girls that were babysitting at a childcare center. And we were told that we couldn't have the baby's face in the picture. So we had to be very careful with the filming angles. We also saw a group that was helping to package forks and knives and stuff like that. Then we went to a site that was actually at the camp where the boys were in one building and they were like moving furniture and doing really heavy lifting stuff. And this was before the miracle happened. So I'm just like, oof, you guys are so strong. I can't do any of that. And then the girls were washing the buses. So, and then Molly was like the one exception to that, where she has like 4 guys next to her. She's like, come on, guys, let's get a picture together. And I'm just like, why can't there be more of you, Molly? You like make that camp. I went to every single one of the tool shows, all 3 of them, because I had nothing else to do at that time. And the one that Molly was at was priceless because she laughed so loud that Garrett, the guy who was doing it, was like, I didn't think our jokes were that funny. And so when Molly finally came back and started laughing again, I remember saying out loud, I don't know if anyone else heard me, but I said out loud to the whole audience, it's good to have you back, Molly. Oh, that was great. And I was also the only person that had no idea what they were talking about when they did the Kahoot game, where they said, get out your phones and type in www.kahoot.it. I was like, what the heck is Kahoot? I thought the Carpenter Commandos were just being silly like usual. But then when everyone in the room started cheering, I was like, am I missing something here? Turns out it's a phone game. This phone can't get that. So what did I do? I cheered that Mr. Core won. If you're wondering which one was Mr. Core, he was the guy that was bald, but he always wore a hat that had hair on it to make it look like he had hair. And as he was standing in front of everyone, they asked, how is it that you were able to win over even the teenagers? And he responded, well, my wife and I play a lot of Trivial Pursuit. And you learn a lot of useless trivia during that time. And he'd also been chaperoning CHWC since 2009, I'd like to say, which was 1 year before I started going. And he's gone on record saying he's going to keep going to CHWC until he can't. That's how much he loves the place. Let's see. Bushes and lighting paths. Oh, wow. You were certainly busy there. Oh, now I remember you. Man, you were an amazing guy, Patrick. Yeah. You were the guy that had the really cool hair. Yeah, that was so great that you were holding open the door. Oh my gosh, it's all coming back to me now. I remember everything. Yeah, you were a cool guy. I remember you too, John Paul. I remember. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't really talk to too many people, but yet that holding open the door was like doing the talking for you. And it's like, that's the kind of thing that CHWC is all about. Because I did that when I went on my second ever Catholic Heart, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, it was pretty blazing hot. Not gonna lie. There was one day when I was how do I word this? There was one day where I had time off after I was done, like, cleaning up the cafeteria, and I wanted to go back into the building, but the door was locked. And I tried calling what's her face, whatever the lady's name was that ran the camp. I think her name was like Gwen or something. And she didn't answer the phone, and neither did my teammates. Actually, I think I left my phone in the dorm room too. So I was just left outside, just trying to get as much shade as I could in that little itty bitty doorway. Well, I mean, there were quite a lot of people coming through those doors. So I could see why people would think that was crazy. But yeah, I remember now. Yeah, I'm like an amnesiac when it comes to my memory. Like the smallest trigger, and all of a sudden, it's like it was yesterday. Of course, that's how that's how my memory generally is to begin with. Like I have a very good memory. I can usually remember the slightest details. Like I can still remember to this day how the heat felt, and I can remember like how was my hair. I remember what bench I sat on when I talked to that one girl. I remember where I was standing when I talked to someone else, and I just all these little itty bitty things. But then if one thing doesn't click, and then one person comes along and says, "Paul, remember this?" I'll be like, "Oh, so that's what it was." And then I'll just remember, it'll just come flooding back as though it was yesterday. Ah, man. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that that was my favorite mission trip. It wasn't just because of the Eucharistic miracle. There was just so much about it where so much could have gone wrong, and yet it didn't. There were so many times where I thought, "Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I really offended that person there, and they're going to kick me off the team." Turned out it was nothing. And the reason I was panicking so much was because I had I don't want to go into the details, but let's just say that the fine print of the conduct form had not specifically mentioned a certain thing that I said on the way to the camp. And then one of the other adults had to say, like, "Paul, that could be taken the wrong way if you say that to someone." And I kept thinking the whole time, like, I better not mess up. I better not mess up. I better not mess up. And yeah, so basically, it was great. We did night prayer. That was fun. Ooh, the night prayer. That was a lot of fun. That's what inspired me to do night prayer for Lent, which was really great. I also really liked the programs a lot. I think getting to go on the stage was cool, but one thing that was kind of odd, and maybe it was because I was an associate staff member and they just don't like filming associate staff members, but I didn't have very much presence on the summary DVD. Like, I don't think they filmed me at all, now that I think about it. And if they did, it was usually just like if I was passing by the camera and wasn't smiling because I wasn't aware that I was being filmed. Because I wasn't on a work team, obviously they didn't film me in the kitchen. I would have remembered that. They didn't film my miracle. When I was on the stage, they didn't film what I said. They just had a brief shot of me and Josh in the background talking. So that felt kind of weird. But on the other hand, I'm okay with that because I think that I'm not necessarily the target audience for CHWC. But I did think it was really cool that they asked us to like put on these headphones that had super loud music playing. And then they asked us to like repeat what the Carpenter Commandos were saying. And I thought I would be so good at it. And I was terrible. I was really terrible at it. Maybe it's because I was so used to Kate being, "Oh, that's a shame." Yeah, like I remember in CHWC's past, maybe this camp, I don't fully remember, I would try to go out of my way to be in the summary DVD, but they would never catch me when I was trying to be in it. It would always be when I was looking away. So I learned just cool it. They're going to show you eventually. Lunar Octopus, welcome. You came at just the right time because Patrick and John Paul here, we've actually met before. And so mostly me, because unfortunately I can't hear voices from anyone else, we're reminiscing about Catholic Artwork Camp, which was the year that my back got healed. If you watched my Eucharistic Miracle video, and that was like the greatest week of my life. So how have you been doing? Yeah, sorry I haven't been streaming so much. I thought people weren't too fond of my streaming style, but apparently I was dead wrong, as I found out tonight. Also, if you need a summary of what we were talking about, I can do that, no problem. Why, thank you, Patrick. I appreciate hearing that. Because I've been watching a lot of other YouTube streamers lately, and they like have this huge green screen where they're playing a video game. Never heard of that game. Community college. Good luck. Well, as for me, what I've been playing, I've actually been pretty busy with games since my last live stream. Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for sticking around, John Paul. Yeah, it was good doing a sort of mini catch-up of sorts. What was I saying? So, assuming you haven't watched the reviews I've been putting out, I recently beat Celeste and Link's Awakening. I never actually beat Link's Awakening on the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color, so it was practically like a brand new experience to me. Going in, I knew the plot twist, and I knew a couple of the basics, but like all of the dungeons except the first one were essentially I went in blind. I hated the game. I really, really, really hated the game. Like, I even was trying to do a live stream that was called Why I Hate Link's Awakening. Then the internet cut out. Not only that, but no one was commenting on it. And I was just like, what's even the point of redoing it? So I've just been waiting for people to see if they want to. Also, I've been showing off this all night, but no one said open it. So I'm just going to wait until someone says, Paul, I want to see you open Squirtle, because I didn't. Honestly, I wonder what's even the appeal of unboxings on YouTube anymore. I have no idea why people like that so much. Because I have to think of something new to say every single time. Wow, dang, you guys are being generous tonight with your like counts. I never ask for likes. Let me just make a disclaimer. I never request that people like my videos. I actually prefer comments, but CJ, welcome back. Sorry if I chased you away. Astral Chain. I have that on my Gamefly queue, but it currently is in low availability, so I'm still waiting for it to come. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing that. Especially because it kind of reminds me of Twilight Princess, because there's this one, I don't know all the terminology for it, but there was a scene that looked like it was like Midna and Wolflink working together, and I loved that in Twilight Princess. CJ, just to give you a bit of a heads up, we're currently trying to redirect the conversations that Lunar Octopus doesn't feel like he's overshadowed by all the CHWC reminiscing. We're discussing if you want me to live unbox this amiibo or not, and we're also discussing like what we've been up to, what video games / videos am I in the process of doing. Super dubbed? Or Dragon Ball Super that was dubbed? Because I'm not much of an anime watcher myself. The only one I've watched all the way through was Death Note, and I really liked it because it was like Ace Attorney on steroids, basically. The two geniuses butting heads against each other. It's like Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, which is probably my number 2 favorite 3DS game. Man, if I could capture footage of that game, that would probably be my first. Well, technically, I did a Let's Play of Sonic Mania Plus, but that wasn't well received, so I haven't uploaded all of it. But I would totally do Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, hands down, if I could. The live action one was awful. That, like, how do I describe why it was awful? Well, first off, now, just to warn you guys, this is based on, like, adult rated content, and I'm going to try to keep it fairly PG-13, because I like to keep this channel mainly family friendly. But what made the original Death Note brilliant, despite that it was so adult, was that Light, the main character, is a genius. He's like a high school prodigy, So he, has all the quirks of being a genius, including the ever so slight social awkwardness. But yet he's also insanely handsome. The ladies love him, but all he really cares about is just pushing forward in life. And when he finds the notebook, he's very cautious. He's careful to make sure that it's a carefully guarded secret. That, if I tell too many people about this notebook, that could really wreak havoc, especially if they're not a genius like me and don't know how to carefully plan this out so that they can't trace their steps back to me. He had a whole 5-minute section of an episode where he talked about how he was going to open a drawer to where he was hiding the notebook. And it was such an involved process that there's no way someone could just accidentally open the drawer. Like, it even zoomed in on the inner workings of the drawer and showed the special lock that he designed so that only a very specific key that he put in, done in a very specific motion after he ate a very specific potato chip, would open that drawer. Yet the light in the Netflix movie was just, oh, hey, cute girl, here's the notebook. Yeah, real smart. Light wasn't even smart in the live action movie. He made dumb choice after dumb choice. And he didn't even have an agenda. It kind of just felt like all he cared about was the girl. Light, in the manga, believed that it was his duty to become the god of the world. And he hated crime with a passion. And he believed that he was actually being a hero. And his job was to purge the world of all the criminals. Of course, eventually the Death Note started to take possession of him, and eventually he got to be a little bit on the corrupt side. But the point was that Light was a villain thinking that he was a hero. And then L comes along, and he thinks that he's a hero for trying to rid the world of light. So you've got two heroes essentially clashing heads with each other. But in the movie, L is portrayed to be this whiny crybaby that tries to use the Death Note himself, even though in the manga, well, actually I didn't read the manga, I only watched the anime, but in the anime, L is like the most calm and composed person in the whole series. Like, nothing frazzles this guy. Well, okay, there's 2 moments in the whole anime when he loses his control, but one of them was he did it on purpose. So in the anime, there's one moment where he's like being ridiculously apologetic to a girl in the schoolyard. And at first, it makes it seem like he's like saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to touch you in that way. I am so, so sorry. But it was really because he was trying to like plant a bug on her or a tracker and cover his own tracks and like his investigation into Light. The second time he got emotional was when he was killed by, I actually forgot how he was killed. I think it was either by Light finally figured out his real name or the demon killed him, one or the other. But he was like, oh no, it's a Shinigami! And then he died. But in the movie, he's like an emotional mess. I mean, it's one thing to show emotion in a movie when L is like one of the most emotionless people ever, but it also like undermines that he also was a genius. And so, yeah, Patrick, it's amazing. If you can look past the M-rated stuff, which there's a lot of it, it's brilliant because L is such a genius that sometimes the movies will like go back and forth between Light's and L's inner monologues. And Light will be trying to think of the ultimate way to fool L, and L will be trying to think of the ultimate way to fool Light. And there's one point where they're like both standing on the rooftops of Japan, and their inner monologue syncs up so that it says, I will defeat you because I am God. Oh, man, so brilliant. But Ella just makes a few educated guesses in the live action movie, and he's just completely ruined as a character. One thing I will say in the movie's defense was the actor they cast for Ryuk was perfect. Even if he didn't have all of the complexity of the original Ryuk, what he was given was good enough. So basically, Ryuk plays this demon, basically from hell. They call it the Shinigami realm in the anime. And basically, the demons don't really have that interesting of an experience. It's not the hell and the fire and brimstone hell that you would imagine from the Bible. It's more of like a wasteland where all the demons just lounge around. So one day Ryuk was bored, and so he decided, you know what? I'm going to see what happens if I just drop this death note. And the Shinigami are bound to stick with whoever picks up the death note until they die, or they pass on the notebook to someone else. So Ryuk's entire reasoning for the entire series is because he was bored. Also, Ryuk wasn't allowed to take sides in the anime. So while he could advise Light on like what could be done with the notebook. Oh, yeah, well, don't let me keep you. I'm glad you stuck around for so long, Patrick. Yeah, feel free to head out whenever you want. I'm glad you stuck around for as long as you did. So there was this constant battle in the anime of Light also trying to outsmart Ryuk because he knew that at any point Ryuk could be telling him something that could betray him, because Ryuk made it very clear from the very beginning. He didn't pull any punches. He just said, I'm only with you because I have to, and I'm not allowed to take sides. So I very well could be betraying you. And Light was just like, guess I'll just have to outwit you then. Whereas in the movie, Light is just, he's like terrified of Ryuk. Now in the anime, Light does get a little bit of a start just because, Ryuk just appears, anyone's going to be like, ugh! But it only lasts for like 3 seconds in the anime. And then Light gets up and he's like, oh, I know you. You're a Shinigami. And then he's back to his old self. But in the movie, he goes on for like 5 minutes screaming like a girl, covering his ears, pounding on the door. It's like, that's not the Light I remember. It's like the Lights in these movies were two completely different characters. And at the very end of the movie, Light pulls off this super elaborate plot that it's like, okay, in the anime, Light planned out like 10 years of his life in advance. This guy only planned out a whole day. Like, that's nothing compared to the Light in the anime. Also, let me make a quick note here of current progress, just in case someone jumps into this late. Ongoing manga in the 90s? Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not generally a fan of R-rated and M-rated stuff. It's just that Death Note is so genius with how it presents its ideas that I made an exception. Same thing with Zero Escape. About to discuss Mia versus Misa. Okay, so in the movie, Mia is... well, in the anime, her full name is Misa. And she is the definition of a dumb blonde. Like, she makes dumb mistake after dumb mistake. And you know what she does every time someone points it out? She just says it's because she's madly in love. And when you're in love, you don't think straight. In fact, Light outright says, straight to her face in the anime, he says, I really don't like you, like, at all. I know you like me, but I don't like you. I think you're annoying. Get away from me. She's like, I don't care if you think I'm annoying. I don't care if you're secretly trying to manipulate me. I am so in love with you that I'm willing to do whatever you say, even if it's some trick that's going to betray me. So Misa was so loyal to him that she loved him even after he outright rejected him. But in the movie, Mia's the psychopath that all she cares about is what's in the bed. And then she, tries to kill Light. The Misa in the anime revered Light as though he was like God incarnate. She never betrayed him, and she didn't yes, she did assist in the anime with helping Light kill people, but she didn't do it because she was trying to be evil. She did it because she saw Light as a role model of like, yeah, this guy's doing something about crime, and I'm so in love with his agenda that I want to rid the world of criminals too. She wasn't doing it out of maliciousness, but in the live action, it's just like, hey, Yeah, so I have a notebook that can kill people. That's cool. Just completely ruins her character. I'm sorry, have I been blabbing too much, guys? Oof, you bring up anime. It's like Death Note's the only thing I can talk about because I don't know any other anime. Unless you count Fire Emblem, but that's a video game. Oh, and also, Light had a mother and a sister. He had a full family in the anime, whereas in the Netflix movie, for some reason, they made it so that his mother died. And it's like, no, he had a full family. And his relationship with his sister was an ongoing thing in the anime that was you were on constant pins and needles if maybe his sister would end up ruining everything because she would like burst into his bedroom right after he had finished with his next evil monologue, and he would have to calmly and coolly try not to sound evil when he was telling off his sister and make up some excuse for why he didn't come to dinner. And it's like every villain has to have a weakness, and his sister was very much his weakness for a good portion of the original anime. Oof. Okay. If you're wondering why I keep saying oof, it's because I have been sitting in a very awkward position all night. Yeah, have a good night, Lunar Octopus. Hope I didn't bore you to death with all this. Thank you for joining, and I don't know if I told you this already, but if you want to do gaming requests, make sure they're of games that have physical editions, because good to know. Thanks. Because eShop garbage is just, I'm just at my limit with them, especially after playing Will: A Wonderful World, and ugh. Ugh. Well, you know, I think I might head out from here. Probably in at least 5 or 10 minutes at the most. Because it's like 1 o'clock where I am. And I got to take my sister to church tomorrow. So that's not a huge deal. We have like a noon mass. Shouldn't be a problem. But still, I am not an afternoon person. So if I can stay awake, that's going to be a miracle. But thank you for joining, guys. I hope you will check out some of my most recent stuff. I tried really hard to honor subscribers' requests, yet at the same time do things my own way. So if there's something you want to see, then please let me know and I'll do what I can to make it a reality. So with that, CJ, do you have any last words? Patrick, if you're around, do you have any last words for the night? / last request of, Paul, can you do this next free time you have? Then if I don't hear from you by 1:10 at the latest, then that's when I'm going to call off the stream because I'm getting tired. Okay. All right. That's a interesting request. So I got this for $16 at GameStop. I traded in Link's Awakening for this, so this better be worth it because I hated Link's Awakening. I also got Fitness Boxing, which I have the cover of it. Actually, that's semi-suggestive. I don't know if I want to show that. I have the cover of Rhythm Boxing. That's been fun. So yeah. So I'm going to try to review that game pretty soon. It seems like it's pretty short as far as minimalism criteria. Okay, so here we go. He's pretty compact. Very interesting contrast to when I opened Ivysaur and his vines were all like manageable, but Squirtle, he's not moving. He's not moving in the slightest. He feels very kind of like halfway between chalk and like porcelain. Also, he's a different color in the stream than he is actually where the camera is, because the way the light is shining makes him look blue. He's actually more like turquoise where he's in front of me, because I'm seeing him in the camera. It's like that's a totally different shade of blue. So as of right now, there is nothing specific that Squirtle can get you, unless you really want to train up a Squirtle amiibo in Smash Brothers. But you can use him in pretty much any generic amiibo game on the Switch, 3DS, or Wii U, and he'll get you the generic prize. Probably also Pokken Tournament as something, but I never figured out how that worked. Alrighty. Patrick, if you're still here, you've got 9 minutes to make a request or say goodnight. But yeah, that is amiibo number 120. And I'm showing no signs of slowing down anytime soon. And I still haven't answered the question of why do I keep collecting amiibo that I posed at the very beginning of this live stream. The reason I keep collecting amiibo is Nintendo's still making games that are amiibo compatible. So there may very well come a day when Nintendo will have every single amiibo do something unique, and I'm going to feel really left out if I don't have that reward. So I will keep expanding my amiibo collection until Nintendo makes some kind of official announcement saying we are shutting down amiibos altogether. That way, if the next Zelda game, say, lets you have a Squirtle armor or something, then I can have it. That's why I don't collect duplicates, because if, say, you can get, I don't know, a Mario-themed hat in Breath of the Wild 2, and you can do that by doing any of the Marios that have been released. There's like 7 of them. I don't need to collect every Mario. I just need the one Mario that'll get me the Mario cap. Although if you're playing Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, they say... No, not Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Super Mario Odyssey. With Super Mario Odyssey, they claim... Here's the key word. They claim that you need to use the Super Mario Odyssey amiibos to get the benefits. Like the Wedding Bowser lets you track purple coins. Wedding Peach gives you basically unlimited life. And Wedding Mario makes you invincible. However, you can use any Mario, Peach, or Bowser amiibo to do that. How do I know that, you ask? Because I don't have Wedding Peach or Wedding Bowser. Yet I was able to get those benefits by scanning a Smash Brothers Peach and a Smash Brothers Bowser. I do have the Wedding Mario amiibo, but I also have other Marios as well. And I used those, and they worked just as fine. In fact, I would even go so far as to say, unless that's a glitch in Mario Odyssey, that they say that if you scan the Mario Odyssey amiibos, you can get the wedding costumes earlier than you can by just playing through the game. I didn't get it. Maybe I scanned it in the wrong place, but I did not get a Wedding Mario outfit until the point in the game when he's supposed to get it. So, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Wedding Mario is pretty cool, though, and I'm glad they have a whole costume of him in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But if I had to pick my absolute favorite amiibo in terms of how it feels, by far, Yarn Yoshi. I was saying this earlier in the stream. I don't know if you were there or not, but I was saying that Yarn Yoshi doesn't seem like an amiibo at first glance. Most of my friends don't even think it's an amiibo. They're just like, oh, that's a cute toy. I'm like, this thing can get you stuff in video games if you plop him down on the gamepad. Like in Yoshi's Woolly World, I think he lets you save an entire Yoshi design that's custom made. All inside something that's made out of yarn. Now, what amiibo do I hate the most? Captain Falcon. Because he's got this really stupid pole under his leg that makes it look like he's not really that great at acrobatics and has inspired some crude jokes on the internet. And I just think it looks really ugly. As far as what amiibo do I want the most? At the moment, there are 2 that I would really appreciate. Just don't know how I'm going to get them at the moment, unless I just start going on a spending spree. Female Corrin, so I can get the last song in Fire Emblem Three Houses, and Skyward Sword Link, so that I can get the Skyloft tunic and the Goddess Sword. Those are the 2 that I really want yarn Poochie I would like so I could complete my collection, but I can't think of a practical reason to collect yarn Poochie at the moment. So that's more of just like I had him at one point, but I gave him to my friend as a token of friendship. So yay for me. All right, 2 minutes left, Patrick, if you're still there. If you're not, I'll tough it out for 2 more minutes. How did I get started on Amiibo? My brother gave me a Christmas present. That's where it all started. And I got hooked. And I believe the first Amiibo I ever got was Link. And then I got Lucina after that. And then after that was Pit. And then I lost track of the order since then, because now I have this whole bag is full of Amiibos. That's like the top of it right there. And this whole bag is full of Amiibos, and it's starting to overflow, so I may need a new bag pretty soon. And it's a CHWC bag. So I've been talking about CHWC for like an hour now. Whew, man. Well, it is now 1:10 a.m., so I am shutting down the stream so I can actually get some sleep. Because I have had sleeping problems ever since I was 13. So I need it more than most people. So thank you for sticking around. If you have any requests, don't be shy to bring them in. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Sure. All right. Except I'm going to do it Catholic style. All right. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, we thank you very much for this opportunity to bring a couple of newbies to my stream, as well as some old friends, especially 2 of them that were from CHWC. That was like super cool and unexpected. We thank you for the Eucharistic miracle that you bestowed upon my back and shoulders that we talked about earlier, that has basically made me twice as much a believer as I already am. And I just pray that whatever happens to this channel, that you will always be the first one in my life, and that you will be the one that holds me back from going too far into the world of fame and popularity, and that you'll still, consider me to be, in poverty or something like that. We just thank you for everyone that was in the stream, everyone that's listening to this prayer. Hope that they have wonderful nights. Hope that they have a good time here. And that I can keep pumping out content that'll hopefully change their lives and change others' lives as well. We ask all of this in your name. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right then. Well, thanks for sticking around. Amen. Indeed. Amen. Always the battle being a Catholic YouTuber is you want to talk about things you like, but you don't want to go too far from your Catholic roots. So keep me in your prayers as I will keep you in mine. Thank you. Much appreciated. All right. Well, now the stream has concluded. So keep the faith, stay epic. God bless. And as Miss Nekotendo would say if she was here, game on.